The crazy world of football has seen a week where Mario Balotelli has returned to England, Manchester United have broke the British transfer record fee but also been toppled by MK Dons, Celtic have crashed out of Europe. So if you're feeling a little put off balance here, come and join us on Affinity Football and we'll look after you and bring you back to reality in the comfort zone of Scottish football. With me, Graham Alexander.
Me, Les Clark.
And Sandy Clark. How you doing, Sandy?
Glad to be here as always.
The comfort zone of Scottish football. Have you ever
Celtic are still in Europa League.
Yeah, but they're out of
the big one, and that's the money-making one.
Out of the big talking point.
Just in case the Celtic fans get a bit upset. They're upset anyway this week.
Yeah, they don't want to
don't want to upset them anymore.
I'm saying the club, ever heard of Scottish football been described as a comfort zone?
I've never really lived that one, I've got to say. No. But it's been an incredible week when it's the crazy world game. I think you said that, and when you look at Balotelli, was it 3 weeks ago that Brendan Rodgers was stating categorically that he will not be coming to Liverpool.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of baggage, obviously, Balotelli, for example, and the one thing about him though is he's a magnificent footballer. Yeah. When he's on his game, he can, he's a match winner, and that's massively important.
It's the controversy and everything. I mean, I know he's got a reputation of being a good guy in a lot of ways. That he's very, very kind and does a lot of good work. But he's got that wee bit that surely if we get rid of Suarez,
he's a nutter. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes,
basically, ready one nut and bring in another.
But most top players have got some quirk in their nature somewhere, and that's what maybe makes them. If they don't have that kind of passion and that extra little bit, then they maybe don't have that extra little bit in the pitch as well. So you've got to balance the two out. I don't think there's any of the top players don't come across a bit of controversy at some time, but it's going to be it's back to the start of the football season just about. I know we've played a few games now, but there's so many things coming on.
You mentioned Brendan Rodgers earlier on your time as a football manager and whatever else. Why do you say things like that? I mean, is Brendan Rodgers sat there knowing that there was every possibility that Balotelli was coming in, but we'll just put the party line out that we're not looking.
He's maybe just tried to deflect it a little bit. He maybe had a go at him earlier to try to get him into the club, and then found that they couldn't find a deal. They couldn't work it out. So he's obviously just backed off from it completely, and then things change. Maybe from the Italian side there might have been an issue that they wanted him out, and obviously that would be an interesting contract to look at, because there was so many bits in it. If you do this, if you do that, if you do this, if you do that, you could get, it'd probably cost you financially. Would be the way. But it's worked now, and he has a talent, and we're talking about him, so that sums
absolutely.
it up.
Is it the club or is it the manager? Because as a manager, if you've got rid of somebody, I mean, the player that Suarez was, obviously as a manager you want to keep him, but having that baggage that he had, do you immediately want to bring in somebody else, or is it the club telling Brendan Rodgers that he's coming in?
It's a bit of both, because if the manager doesn't want the player, almost certainly won't be there. But if the manager wants the player, the club will insist on certain kind of bits in his contract to make sure that his behaviour is right and fitting for the football club. And Liverpool have got a great tradition. I mean, that's a football club, as everyone knows, and they did really well last year with the challenge they made to win the league. So Suarez will be a big miss, but will this man fill his shoes?
See what he does. Crazy world, as you say, and staying down south, obviously Man U, and talking about managers, the saviour that was coming in, and Louis.
I know it's been a bit of a bad start for him, to be honest, but it takes time to change these things.
Did David Moyes get that time?
No,
he did to a certain extent. Louis van Gaal is he's higher up the pecking order than David Moyes, having managed at the top level with top clubs. Obviously did fairly well with Holland in the World Cup in Brazil. But it just shows the pressures on everyone. What amazes me is he elected to play a system with three at the back in the World Cup, and he's doing that system now with Man United. And it amazes me the number of other clubs who seem to be thinking, maybe I'll try that. It's not as simple as that. You have to spend hours upon hours in the training ground. You've got to get the right players in that suit that system. And is it working so far for Man United? You've got to say no. Swansea at home, Sunderland away, 1 point. That's poor by any standards.
Level should be adapting to any kind of
time.
It does take time, and they've had a few injuries. They've just spent over £50 million on one player. So the club obviously have to back the manager. Man U, worldwide brand, they're still money making machine. But there's a little bit of pressure on. He's deflecting it, typical Dutchman. There's a bit of arrogance about them, and he'll blame everybody else other than him. But But eventually it's all about results, and they need to get results.
Yeah, my thoughts were, does it vindicate Davy Moyes in a way, you know, that it's such a difficult job to go into after Sir Alex Ferguson's reign? You know,
I mean, he must be sitting somewhere thinking it is a hard job, and he's sort of been justified in a sense, but I mean, not totally.
Yeah, you know, Moyes will be sitting, well, you know, he'll be have a small smile on his face saying, you know, I told you it wasn't that easy. He's also got the comfort of having a few million quid in his back pocket, so that makes life easier for David. But it's back to the situation, how far do you look back? Sir Alex is a wise man, as we all know, you know, incredibly successful. He jumped ship, and that's not the right way of putting it, but he decided to retire when his team had won the Premiership in England, and everyone knew that it was cosmetic. There had to be changes at Man U at that point in time. And he's, to be fair, I'm not slating Sir Alex for 1 second, he would boot me in the backside if I did that. But he changed team after team after team through 20 odd years, so he's capable of doing it. But this time, he's left a job for someone else to do, and it's hard to pick up the pieces because you don't know the foundation at the club. David Moyes was working at it. Was he successful last year? No. Should he be sacked? Should have been sacked? Should have been given more time? I don't really know. Nobody can tell that. But
crazy
Van
world
Gaal
of
will get a
football,
back.
as you say.
But roll on the season, tons to talk
absolutely.
about.
But near at home, we mentioned Celtic. Obviously, that was a bit of a...
Well, they're left picking up the pieces now that they're out of the Champions League. It's tough for them, Sandy.
You know, Celtic, Scottish football, we'll go back to that part of it, has been in turmoil financially for a period of time. It's been in turmoil recently because, I don't care what anybody says, Rangers are a massive miss to the top league because of the rivalry they bring with Celtic. They finance each other in lots of ways. But last year Celtic won the league at a canter, and because of that, you know, directors are saying, do we need to invest money? And answer to that, they might be saying, no, we'll win the league anyway. But you take the chance of going out of the Champions League, which has happened. But you've also got a situation now in the top league in Scotland. There's no Rangers, there's no Hearts, there's no Hibs. So, you know, we've covered it a little bit, and I'm sure we'll cover it again. The Championship looks to be the best league, and it was a blow for Celtic. I was actually at Airdrie on Tuesday night when Queen's Park were playing Rangers, because Albion Rovers play Queen's Park on Saturday. And it was a bonus getting to see Nicky play as well, to be fair. But the biggest cheer of the night, Rangers didn't play that well, the biggest cheer of the night was when the Rangers fans heard that Celtic had beat.
But
I
actually heard this massive cheer and thought, you know, had it just been announced that Rangers were back in the SPL or something, I didn't know what was going on. And then somebody said, oh, you know, Maribor had scored, obviously.
But that's the rivalry.
Shows you the rivalry.
That's what Scottish football and the top league and the two big clubs in Scotland and in Glasgow, that's what they miss. They love playing against each other, and they hate getting beat, but they love it when they win. And over the years it's been eaksy-peaksy, just about. Yeah. You know, I think Rangers are slightly better, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't think I'll be a surprise to everybody.
No, absolutely not. But as you say, crazy world, Graham.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, coming away from the Celtic situation, McGregor, that is obviously a Celtic player, he's been brilliant for Celtic in a couple of Champions League games and in league form, and he's in the Scotland squad now. And there's been a few sort of questionable picks there from Gordon Strachan. What do you think about the squad?
Well, go back, Callum McGregor, you mentioned him. I don't really know him, I've got to say. I don't know much about him. He was put out on loan last year, wasn't deemed to be good enough for the Celtic team, obviously first team, and you know, was on loan in England. He's come back to Celtic. What an impact he's made. Yeah. You know, is that because the standard at Celtic's dropped, or is it because he's developed and learned and worked into being a good player? It's probably a bit of both, to be fair. But to make it into the Scotland squad, obviously it's a big game coming up. I think it's a weekend Sunday, isn't it? Yeah. The game in Germany. It's great. Gordon Strachan is brilliant for me because whenever people show they've got a bit of flair, a bit of spark, a bit of enthusiasm about them, a bit of desire about them, if he thinks that they're as good as what he's got, he'll give them a chance. It's a big squad, and Callum McGregor's in the squad, and it's great. And that's why Scotland are doing better, because we'll get a top-rate manager who doesn't just pick players on their big names at big clubs. He picks players who care and are passionate, and that's why we've increased up the ratings in recent months.
Absolutely, and you know the way I love my stories, you know, having followed Nicky's career through from being a wee boy. There was a great bit I saw on one of the football shows on television when he was a lad himself. Callum McGregor, he was a ball boy, and there was a great clip of him at the big Man United Celtic game, and there he was crossing in front of the teams as they came out, you know, and here he is himself now, you know, standing for the first team and obviously getting into
Was he
the
not
Scotland
19
squad.
at that time?
No, he wasn't 19, he was like 12 or 15.
No, but
I love
it's
things
great.
like that, you know, just to see that they get, you
Getting
know,
back,
they can do.
you'll remember this one, Liz. You know, you won't, Graham, but a lot of the viewers hopefully will remember George Connolly playing at keepy up at a Celtic European game
I
way
remember my dad
back.
talking about that.
George Connolly, ex-Celtic player, Scotland player, magnificent footballer. Did keep you up as a youngster round. I think it was maybe in Milan they were playing. I'm not sure who Celtic were playing. Still out at Celtic Park, doing keep you up at half time all the way around the park. And he, as a young lad, he come on to be a Celtic player. So it's.
I like my stories.
Yeah, but that's life, isn't it? That's football life.
Yeah.
I think the squad does look good. It's a strong squad there, and I mean there's a few questions about some guys that are in the squad, I think, but the one guy that I had in mind just before the squad was announced is a guy from West Lothian, Scott Arfield. He's been playing brilliant for Burnley in the Championship, sort of stepped up to the Premier League. How come he's not even had a look in? I mean, he came through the under-21s for Scotland. Brilliant sort of pedigree now.
He's your pal.
He is my friend as well, so I'm bringing it up.
Just in case. Just in case you're wondering.
You know, Scots did exceptionally well. I remember him at Falkirk. He was a really talented young player there, moved on to Huddersfield and then moved on to Burnley. And Burnley have been incredibly successful, you know, getting promotion last year. They're now in the top league. And Gordon Strachan, I'm sure, has looked at him. He obviously can't pick everybody. When you look through the squad, there's a lot of young players similar to that. What's happened with the Scotland team is there's a really good base there, and the base is built on obviously a bit of talent, but on a togetherness and a team spirit, and everybody buying into what the manager does. He works them hard at training, not hard as in running up and doing hills and running around the park for, you know, without a ball. He works hard on the tactical side of the game to make sure players understand where they should be when they've got the ball, where they should be when they don't have the ball. And Scott Arfield will be considered without a doubt, because he's going to look at. We can't afford not to look at everybody, young Scottish players, but he maybe doesn't feel that he's ready for that yet. If he does well with Burnley do well, and he's already scored a goal against Chelsea. If he can establish himself in a Burnley team that are doing well in the league, I'll guarantee you won't be far away. But he's got to earn that right, same as everyone else.
Of course.
You can phone him down the night and say, that's why he's not in the squad.
Yeah,
I'll give him that justification. But no, it was just something that I thought I'd bring up. I mean, there's a couple of guys in there like Kevin McDonald for Wolves that, for me, I didn't really see. There's similar types of players, McDonald and Arfield, and that was.
You know, Gordon Strachan's doing his job. His scouts and the people, his staff that he works with are doing their job. They'll have looked at the players, and it depends where there might be somebody in the squad that plays exactly the same way as Scott Arfield, and Gordon thinks there's somebody a little bit, he's maybe just a wee bit ahead of him at the moment. But he will, you know, if he does well, he'll get his chance. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But when you look at the squad, I think, you know, Craig Gordon's an incredible comeback for Craig. He's obviously a fantastic goalkeeper, and he's got himself back in right away, which is great. So again, the manager has gone back to, I think I read a bit in the paper that he was talking about, I'll bring Craig Gordon back into the squad, because I think he's got 40 odd caps already. He hasn't played since maybe 2010 or something for the national team. Back a bit anyway, back a bit of time because of his injuries. But Gordon knows he's a good player, but he'll bring him into the squad, and if he doesn't fit, and by that I mean not his ability, if he doesn't fit, doesn't like the training, doesn't like the way that, you know, the regime, the way they work, etc., then he might not last in the squad. But knowing the goalkeeper is a good professional, I'm pretty certain he'll be in it for good now.
I'm looking at that there, the three goalies, and remember there was always the standing joke about Scottish goalkeepers, you know, going back. I mean, look at that: Craig Gordon, David Marshall, and Alan McGregor. I mean, that's a wealth of talent in between the sticks, isn't it?
Yeah, it's there's no doubt there's real quality there. There's quality throughout the squad. That's why they're get up the rankings, and they'll need to be quality, because when we look at the group, you know, the first game is Germany away, so that's World Cup winners. That is going to be a real test. Great game to play in. I think it's in Dortmund. I watched Scotland play in Dortmund a few years back. It's a fabulous stadium, massive, you know, atmosphere will be incredible, and it'll be a real challenge for the lads. But it's the hardest game of the section. It's away from home, so if we get anything from it, it'll be a bonus. If we get a good performance, then, you know, when you look at the rest of the squad, the rest of the group, hopefully we've got a chance of qualifying.
Going to put you on the spot, Sandy. If you're in Gordon's shoes, what's the starting 11 you pick against the Germans?
I'm not even going to try and pick his team. You know, it won't change much from the guys that have you know, did the business for him in previous games. He'll go and cunt for him a little bit. Dan Fletcher, for example, will Dan play? I would think probably, because playing in that environment in Dortmund, experience will be massive, and he's an experienced player. Obviously, he's in the Man U team at the moment, so I think Dan Fletcher will play. I think Naismith will play up front, and Gordon will pick the right people round about him. But it'll be interesting to see what system he plays. But as I said before, he does his work. If he wants to go 3 at the back or a back 4, he'll know exactly what he wants to do. He'll have a game plan, and they'll certainly go for it. They won't go for it. They'll go to try and get the positive result, which, you know, we would set up for a draw now, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. I'm just thinking too, if things get heated in other areas of the pitch, we'll also have a bit of Coldplay up front there with Chris Martin. On that note.
And on that note,
that's gone right over Sandy's head.
There's the Scotland team and Sandy Clark's opinion on it. Hopefully we do pick up a point in Dortmund or more. Join us after the break to discuss the weekend's fixtures.
The Affinity Football Show here on Affinity TV. I'm still here, even though these two tried to eject me from the studio with that Coldplay joke there, which I think you got, Sandy.
Yeah, it was good.
We just had to explain it to him. But anyway, yeah, he did say that he understands.
Don't switch off after that
who
joke.
Chris Martin is. I thought that was good. Anyway, moving on from the international game to this week's fixture roundup in the domestic game. And again, all of last season we went on about the excitement as the weeks went on. We hope that this season is going to be the same, Sandy. Looking ahead to this weekend, we're going to have a wee look at Sunday's game, Dundee Celtic. Now, the way things have been going with Celtic, you know, and you know everybody sings the praises of Paul Hartley and how he's doing things at Dundee. Yep. What do you think?
It's a test for Celtic. You know, they'll be really flat as a club. The changing room will be incredibly flat. The manager's getting stick for not getting through. Excuse me. The players will be disappointed, but you know the fact that they seem to freeze on the night. They didn't play, and if that happens, then you know it'll cause them a big problem on Sunday as well. When you look at the start to the season, Celtic have only played I think it's only 2 league games, isn't it? They lost at Inverness. They beat Dundee United. No, they beat St Johnstone. They've played 3 league games, so it's a big one for them. It's away from home. Dundee have had a great start. Paul Hartley, they're obviously just promoted into the league. They've had 3 draws and 1 win. They also had a good result midweek in the League Cup. So they're a team in, you know, playing with a lot of confidence, things that maybe Celtic don't have. So it'll be an interesting one. If the Celtic attitude's not right, Dundee will be there to take advantage. But Celtic have still got a lot of good players. You know, Chris Commons is a funny one for me. He's in the team, he's out the team. You know, why is that happening? Is he not, you know, the manager's type of player? I know Neil Lennon raved about him, and rightly so. He scored an incredible amount of goals last year. So why is he not playing? And I think the Celtic fans will be asking that question. Dundee, I think, will be hoping he doesn't play because he is a good player. But at Dens Park, it'll be a sellout. It'll be live on TV. Lunchtime, I think it is on Sunday. And it's without a doubt the pick of the top league. I wouldn't bother with any other games if I was being honest, because we think the Championship's better. But Dundee Celtic, if I was a betting man, I really couldn't pick a winner right now. I
think it's maybe the confidence of the supporters and the manager as well. You know, have a lot to do with it, because obviously it's kind of going like that a bit. You know, they weren't sure with the Legia Warsaw results, and then the Dundee United result, which looked as if, you know, that had just been a blip, and then Inverness. You know, so you're wondering. You know, they were talking Sugarly Nails. You know, after the first couple of games.
I wouldn't think they would think about changing the manager right now. It can happen. He's only been there a short time. I think if you're a board of directors, especially at a massive club, Celtic are a massive club, then you don't have a knee-jerk reaction and jump in and pick any old manager. An interesting factor through the week, apparently Henrik Larsson turned the job down. You know, that amazes me. You know, the fact that he turned it down, because it, you know, is a big club and a great job. But the new manager's got to be given time, really. But he won't get tons of time, because as everyone in Scotland they know Celtic's going to win that league. And if there's any danger of that not happening, then I think there would certainly be a real chance of a change of manager. But as I said on Sunday, if I was going to do anything, I'd have a cross in the middle for a draw in Macomb for Sunday.
Really?
Yep.
Definitely, it's a bold shout. But moving on to the Championship, where it's at this season, really, and Hearts v Falkirk is our game of the week from that division. Where do you see that one going, Sandy?
Well, Hearts at home. The Hearts have had a great start to the season. I was at Ibrox a few weeks ago, and they deserved to beat Rangers. They won 2-1. They played really well. Not the most important factor. The biggest factor is always the 3 points, but it was the way they were organised, tactically, attitude, determination, desire, everything that you need if you're going to be successful at a football team. They had it that day, and they seem to have kicked on. They obviously had a hiccup against Livingston where they think they made 10 changes or something, which happens, and that was a decision they made. But other than that, their league form has been good. They managed to win the derby against Hibs at Tynecastle with again a really good finish for the first goal from young lad Nicholson, so that they're showing they've got quality. And then they went to Raith Rovers and won 4-0. So Hearts have got to be favourites, but Falkirk, I watched them play recently as well, and they've got a bit about them. They also went to Easter Road last week and got a result. So I'm not saying that everybody can beat Hibs, but they two certainly have. So that'll make it tight. That'll be tight, but wait a second, I wasn't a dig at Hibs, don't worry.
No, not from you, Sam.
But I think Falkirk will give them a game.
Yeah.
Hearts, the problem that Robbie Nielsen will have is probably keeping them calm. The confidence is there, but don't be overconfident. So get the right balance. But it's a cracking game, and it'll be interesting the crowd at Tynecastle. It'll be a big crowd there. Falkirk will bring a few, and the Hearts fans, as always, will turn out and back their team.
It's a fantastic start for Hearts, as you said, but you mentioned Livingston there, obviously our local club, and they're away to Dumbarton at the weekend. Mark's not here tonight, obviously, but for Livingston, Dumbarton's a must-win game, or at least to get points from it.
Well, it's easy saying that, but any away game in any league is difficult. That's why I'm saying that Celtic could find it hard at Dundee. Away from home, at home you've got an advantage. There's no doubt about that. Away from home, it's different. Dumbarton have had a difficult start to the season. Absolutely no doubt about that. They seem to do well at Easter Road. Losing 3-2 after being 2 up, but it seems like a decent performance. But you're right, Livingston. If they want to look to challenge at the top end, and with the 3 other clubs in the league, it'll be difficult. They have to go and win that type of game. But as I said before, it won't be easy. Dumbarton will be desperate to get started because they did well last season. But Livingston, if they get the attitude right again and recover from the midweek game, then they're certainly good enough for Birch's team to get a result.
Yeah, we chatted with John McGlynn today for Livy Live, which you can also catch on the sports channel here.
Is John
on
okay after
TV.
that bucket challenge?
Yeah, I think he just about survived it.
I'm going to see, John, you were
looking
looking good. What a body. I'm keeping my shirt on, I'll tell you.
I think you better. No, but he was saying that, the Dumbarton probably, that they are a better team than the results have, as John said, he's hoping that they just continue in the same vein for the next 90 minutes.
It's like everything else, Liz. It's a new season, it's really early on yet, and there's changes in the summer at clubs, and Dumbarton have lost some good players, and that can affect him. The young lad Kane, who was on loan from St Johnstone, did really well for him last year. So he's not there now. So they're maybe just missing a wee bit of a spark somewhere.
And I mean, Ian Murray touted, even for the Hibs job at one point. He's a good up-and-coming young manager. Yeah. So.
But he's had a great time at Dumbarton, Ian Murray. But like every football manager, it's now a wee test, and people will be looking and going, "Can you handle this one?" Yeah. And that's the learning process.
Yeah.
I mean, check out Livy Live, as Liz says. We've got Livy Live on the website as well, so check that out. Any more information about Livingston? But moving on to League One, it's Stranraer v Dunfermline as our game of the week there. Sandy, what's your opinions?
Yeah, again, it'll be a tight league. You look at the League One, Morton and Dunfermline are the two big teams for me. You would think they'd be favourites to win the championship there. I'll be Stranraer. I've been to Stranraer quite a few times in recent years. Working as in with a team, and Stephen Aiken's done a McNelson job there. They're working on a shoestring budget. They've got a bit of spirit as a club. It's a nice, tidy wee stadium now. It really is pleasant to go there. We actually played in Melbourne Rovers in the Challenge Cup last week, and you know they beat us 2-1, but we weren't far away. But you know they're a league above us, but so we did okay against them. But they're well organised. They've got 2 good strikers, and they'll cause a lot of teams problems, especially at home. Dunfermline are the full-time team. Got their act together last week. They've had a poor start beating Airdrie, and if they want to make noises about being up there as champions, then it's this type of game they have to go and put a marker down and say we're good enough to do it. It's a long journey. It's a long way away. It's a windy road.
It's a nice drive.
It's a nice drive. It's a nice summer's day. But it might be rarer or snowing, you know, the weather we get.
It's not the best.
But I see that as being a really tight game again. I think it'll be a good game. Sunrar will have a go. Dunfermline need to try and win it. So Sunrar nothing to lose. So it'll be, for me, it's the best game in that league this weekend.
Moving on to League 2, Arbroath, Montrose, both undefeated at the moment. How do you see it going?
I've even not picked Albion Rovers.
Well, we'll come to that.
We might have a look at the Mighty Rovers.
Again, you know, I've been at Albion Rovers now for a few weeks, and we've played 3 league games. I think the league will be really close because there's a muchness about most teams. We've been lucky with 1 or 2 home games. We lost away at Arbroath, but I'm not making excuses, but the win was horrendous. It was difficult. They adapted better than us, so they deserve to win the game because of that. But Arbroath, Montrose is a local derby. Montrose are unbeaten. They've only played 2 games. They're a game short. They've got an outstanding win against Clyde. They've played 2 games at home, won them both. Arbroath were a great start, 1 and 3 out of 3. So that's the top game in the Angus Derby, and I'll be interested. I hope it's a draw, and that's just a personal one because of the fact that they'll both drop points. As long as Albion Rovers can get a wee result against Queen's Park.
Absolutely. Nothing worse than getting bothered with wind in Arbroath.
You should know.
Don't tell stories. Albion, Queen's Park.
Yeah, you mentioned
quickly.
You've got league business as well, and you mentioned earlier in the show that you checked out Queen's Park.
Yep.
Earlier in the week. So
Yep.
What do you think?
Hard game. I was really impressed with Queen's Park. I've actually seen them twice this season, just by chance. I've seen them earlier in the season on a Friday night game against Berwick. They did really well in the Rangers game. They stifled Rangers. They played a 4-5-1 formation, and I can totally understand why they did that. Clyde, a couple of weeks before, had played Rangers and went 4-4-2 and get blasted 8-1. So Gus McPherson got his tactics right. Lost a goal early on, got back in the game. Poor goal from Rangers' point of view, but they worked hard, they pressed hard. They've got a lot of good young players in their team who pass the ball. So it'll be a challenge. It'll be a tight game, and as I said, like all the teams, there won't be an easy game anywhere. But I would hope that we've had 2 wins at home, and I would hope that we can take advantage of them playing midweek. They might be a little bit tired because of that, and that can maybe work in our favour.
I would say I thought Gus really had them well organised, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, they're really good showing.
You would expect that. Like, you know, Gus was his normal at the side of the pitch, a crab old man. But he's just passionate and wants to do well. I think the referee got a bit of stick as well at different times. But they're well organised, and again, a great old-fashioned traditional club in Scotland, Queen's Park. They're always in there doing their best. Yeah. And you know, like all the games, it'll be tight.
Yeah, it's good to see that famous old strip. So, as we say, another exciting week coming up in the senior game. Normally here on the Affinity Football Show, we'll be having a look at the juniors and the amateurs, which we're going to be bringing to you throughout the season. I think, Graham, you want to put a wee message out there to West Lothian's juniors and to the Amateur Association.
Of course. We've been really busy in here at Affinity HQ this week, so we've not managed to get anybody in for the show, but if any amateur teams or junior teams out there want to get a member of their coaching staff or a player,
want to come and sit here,
Yep.
come and sit next to Sandy here on the couch, then get in touch with us at the information that's on the screen just now, and we'll have you here on the show, and you can have a little chat with me and Liz and Sandy and Mark Burchell when he's here as well.
Absolutely, because that's what we're here for, to promote all West Lothian football right through to the amateurs, because we're getting right into it all, aren't we? You know, we're getting to know the amateur teams. You're out and about on a Sunday and taking in some of the games and putting the clips up here on Affinity TV. So, absolutely get in touch with us and come in and join us. You can make us a cup of coffee, and I'll not tell any of my bad jokes.
So get in touch with us here and join us after the break when we put our question of the week to Sandy here on the couch. So Derek Adams has recently been sacked from Ross County, and Sandy, really what our question is this week, do you think managers get the chop too quickly in the modern game? Being an assistant manager yourself, how do you feel about it?
Yes, I do. it happens. It's happened to me over the years, not just once, on a few occasions. The first thing, I actually texted Derek and George today, just to say to them, doesn't make you a bad person, just pick yourself up and go on with it, because that's the way football is. It's changed dramatically. There's so much pressure on everyone, and you get it at the top end. David Moyes got it at Man U last year, we covered that. You get it at the very bottom end with teams in the lower league, because the people within the club, and it's mainly fans, the pressure they put on everyone at the club at times is incredible, because they want success, and they're fans, and rightly so, but all the social media stuff and all the bits that fly about, the communication methods now, it just goes absolutely crazy, and this upsurge can suddenly, it can just be your turn and you get absolute dog's abuse, and it builds and builds and builds, and eventually something has to go. Far too often football directors panic, and they go, oh, and the reason they panic is they don't want stick. So they, if the fans are saying change the manager, change the assistant manager, whatever it is, they'll want to do it before they start to get stick, and they get the blame, and invariably they panic. Now, Roy McGregor at Ross County he's a great chairman. I know him well. He's been there a long time, and this won't be a decision with Derek Adams that's come easy to him. I know that, but it happens in football. There'll be inside bits that nobody knows. But to answer your question, yes, it does happen too quick. But the kind of the bonus side for coaches and managers nowadays, and I mentioned David Moyes earlier, tongue in cheek about the millions he's away with from Man United. They're normally protected well with contracts. So if they want to hire and fire, as long as they stick to the term of the contract and they pay up the person involved, then it's their privilege to do that. And bit of advice that every coach manager should have a bit in his contract to safeguard the fact that, unless he does something crazy that you can't do, like any of us, you end up in jail or something stupid like that, then, if they're going to sack you, they have to pay you.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then you walk away with it and you just go on with things and go and start again.
I know, but, and you're saying, is it the modern game? It has, it's happening more and more regularly where, guys aren't getting much of a chance to prove that we can do it, but that's not a new thing either. Yeah. And I know from experience, Sandy, with you as well, and as you say, there's not a guy we know that's a football manager that's not been sacked at least once, if not a couple of times. And you get that, they'll say, that compensation's there and whatever, but it still hurts a bit if you think you're working hard, which you always have been, when you're getting, you're working hard to get somewhere, and and then suddenly the rug's pulled from under your feet.
It does happen so often now that I don't think it's unusual. And you look at Derek Adams at Ross County. They finished 7th last year. They could easily have finished 11th. The same as Kilmarnock, the same as St Mirren, the same as Partick Thistle, and Hibs ended up in the City East, and they ended up in the playoffs. So it can happen, because the league, the bottom end of the league last year was incredibly tight. But Derek Adams ended up 7th. He's kept it. He got that team promotion, kept him up in the top league. So you've got to say it's been a job well done. He's been well backed, I've got to say. The chairman's, there's a big budget up there. There's a lot of players, foreign players come in. There's a lot of expense involved in that. Not only salaries, but you've got to pay accommodation because it's a bit isolated and everything else. And you've got to attract players to come there. So he's certainly been backed in a way. But Roy McGregor's decided to make the change, and that's it. It happens, and that's part of football. But it's how you react to it, really. Because you do work hard at it. You do. It does hurt you because your pride's hurt. Yeah. If you don't get hurt, if you're not hurt by it, then you weren't passionate about it. You weren't doing it in the first place. Yeah. But it's, as I say, it's how you react. Get your sleeves up and go on with it.
And it's not always the total end of the world. I mean, there's loads of cases. I think even Sir Alex that you talked about earlier, didn't he get sacked early on in his managerial career?
Sacked at St Mirren for some absurd reason. Yeah, but it certainly didn't hold him back.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been other cases over the years.
As I say, that's how you react and go on with things that matters. He's not is he the first of the season? No, it was the lad at Huddersfield get sacked
in the first day.
It's the first in Scotland, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, he's first in Scotland.
Yeah. And I know the way it works. It's crazy. The whole, the vultures about there right away. Roy McGregor will have had at least 100 CVs today with people wanting Derek Adams' job. That's the way it is. And
But it's a strange one, just knowing the kind of circle, you know, within Scottish football, and you're obviously kind of part of that, you know, where things like that happen. But you're all back each other because you've all been through the same thing. Yeah. But you know, they're still not slow to jump in and apply for your job. You know, that's just how it is. You know, and that's
everybody's got the same problems, the same issues, and the same difficulties.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the game, and it's saturated with the media now. But rightly so. If you take the money from Sky and from other broadcasters, etc., then that's, you know, you have to give the information back the way. Yeah. It's all part and parcel of the modern football game, which is still a great game.
I don't know, I didn't check because they always have at the start of the season they have the whole betting thing, don't they? But who's first to go? I'm not sure who it was.
I'm not sure who. I think Big Yogi was the favourite to go
was
first.
I think so.
I think John Hughes was the favourite, but then they've had a great start to the season.
Yeah.
You can't go by what the bookies.
Well, as you're saying, Derek's first, but he'll by no means be the last.
It won't be the last of that. There's no doubt.
Yep, absolutely. Talking about managers and coaches, just to follow on from our discussion last week about the first female coach. Yep. Let's comment on how she did.
I don't actually know. I never checked the result.
It was a draw.
She drew. She got a point. Yep.
I never even checked.
It was Stirling University v Dalbeattie Star.
Yes.
I'll keep it right. I'll do that. Research on it. You do because I
Sorry, just throw me under the bus. Don't worry about it.
And as always, you know, you're not going to judge anybody on one game or two games. She's in there, and I really do hope she does well. Absolutely.
I loved the photographs and maybe, you know, just normal kind of pictures of them standing in the touchline, you know, just shouting and giving instructions. You know, it's terrific. I hope she does well. I really do.
The thing about being a female, Shelley, I don't think she'll get too much stick, you know, to start with. That's for sure. I can't see a lot of guys going, do one and
I'm not sure.
all this.
Shouting abuse. I don't know.
I can imagine there might be a few jokes flying about. That might be the biggest factor in it, you know. But great start.
Absolutely.
You know, one each, and it's a young lady trying to work in a man's world and give her every chance of support. I hope she does well.
Absolutely. So you this weekend looking forward to the game?
As always, the mighty Queen's Park at Clifton Hill and Coatbridge.
Yep.
If you're bored, come along. You'll see a decent game.
Yep.
Two teams trying to win.
We were laughing actually down at Clifton Hill, the last home game I was at was quite a good crowd. You know, obviously they've done okay to start with, and it was a good crowd. But always anybody in Coatbridge will tell you there's a bit on a hill where you've got all the spectators who stand there and they look in rather than coming in and paying. But one of the directors was telling me that they'd had, remember last year they ran that initiative where they were saying pay what you want, you know, or they had things where people were going in for £1 and things like that. And they said they'd sent somebody round to say to the guys up on the hill, just come round and come in. They were like, no thanks, we're happier here. So Scottish football fans, you'll never beat them.
There's an answer to that somewhere, but I'm keeping my mouth shut. I want to get back into Coatbridge.
It's a funny old game, eh?
What about you, Graham? What are you covering this weekend?
Hopefully we'll get out and cover a game on Sunday, weather dependent again, but we'll see how that goes, and hopefully I don't get the chop like Derek Adams before next week after not knowing my information.
Absolutely.
There on the Shelley Kerr situation. But everybody else at home, come and join us next week here on Affinity Football.
Absolutely, we're moving to a new all singing, all dancing studio, aren't we?
Yeah, so you'll be able to see the new studio next week.
Absolutely, so join us then here on the Affinity Football Show on Affinity TV.